The story begins with two kinds of people with special abilities, the children of the day and the children of the night. The children of the night are driven by their evil desires, while the children of the day, called psychers, work against them. Their battle has been ongoing for centuries. One day, a child of the night named Ralph, an A-rank villain, robs a bank with his cohorts, causing widespread panic. While escaping, someone drives a school bus toward them. They approach the bus, knock on the door, and it opens. The driver asks the cohorts about the woman and the child they are holding hostage. Ralph replies that they are the governor's wife and child, intending to use them for ransom. As they enter the bus, one cohort grabs the child while the woman begs for her daughter's release, saying, "She knows nothing, please let her go." Meanwhile, the child screams, "Mommy! Mommy!" The driver confronts the cohorts, demanding they release the hostages. When they refuse, he attacks them. After defeating the two men, the driver steps out of the bus. Ralph, angry, asks, "Who are you?" The driver removes his mask, and the crowd starts cheering. His name is Cashin Lee, a descendant of the children of the day. Cashin says, "Long time no see," leaving Ralph flustered. Ralph orders his followers to prepare for a fight, but Cashin calmly removes his earpods, stretches out his hands, and summons flames. "None of you need recycling," he says. "I'll burn you all to ashes." Chapter 1. The next day, there is a public outcry against Psyker Cashin Lee for his ruthless actions. The Human Rights Committee sends a letter to the Psyker organization, Lampas, demanding punishment for Cashin. Tuppen Schiller, the director of Lampas, is furious. She calls Cashin and asks, "Are you a Psyker or a villain?" Cashin defends himself, saying, "How can you compare me to a villain?" She retorts, "Because of what you did. The people have turned their backs on us, and worst of all, Ralph got away." Cashin explains, "They laid hands on the hostages, but the director scolds him. The safety of the hostages comes first." As punishment, Cashin is suspended. Frustrated, Cashin reflects on his relationship with Jeff, who is best friends with the director. He calls Jeff, who is in Rhodes, Greece, and decides to visit him since he's been suspended. Upon arriving, Cashin waits for Jeff, reflecting on his childhood and the discovery of his powers. At 7:30, Cashin calls Jeff again but receives no answer. Suddenly, Jeff appears, wounded. Handing Cashin a necklace, Jeff warns, "Get out of here, or you'll be in trouble too." Cashin asks, "Did a villain do this to you?" Before Jeff can reply, a figure emerges from the shadows. Jeff pushes Cashin away, and the villain strikes, killing Jeff. Enraged, Cashin chases the villain. The villain stops, and Cashin demands answers. Is this revenge, or were you paid to do it? The villain dismisses his questions, addressing him by name. Shocked, Cashin realizes the villain is Jack, an S-rank psyker. Jack accuses Cashin of treason. Before Cashin can defend himself, another psyker, Lyra, appears, corroborating Jack's accusations. She claims Jeff killed one of their own and presents fabricated evidence. Despite their threats, Cashin fights back. Jack and Lyra overpower him, and Cashin falls off a cliff into the water, vowing revenge. Chapter 2. When Cashin woke up, he found himself inside a bathroom. Confused, he asked himself, "What am I doing here?" He noticed that his voice had changed. Looking into the mirror, he realized he had been transformed into a child. Angered and bewildered, he heard someone shouting in a foreign language. "Guanli Guan," they said. Cashin muttered, "Am I in Korea?" Suddenly, an eye-shaped figure emerged from the glowing necklace. The creature introduced itself, saying, "My name is Moros, a mighty soul from ancient times." Cashin, startled, asked, "What are you?" Moros calmly explained, "I brought you back to life." Cashin scoffed, "Why should I believe you?" Moros replied, "The necklace Jeff gave you before his death was meant to protect you. It cost me half of my power to revive you." As Moros continued, Cashin remembered Jeff mentioning he was searching for a sword. "Are you talking about the Sword of Annihilation?" Cashin asked. Moros nodded. "Yes, it is an ancient weapon forged during the mythical wars. Its power can reshape destiny." Cashin rolled his eyes. "How would you even know that?" Moros, visibly irritated, said, "I am an ancient being. If you know nothing, remain silent and learn." Unconvinced, Cashin decided to leave. As he walked away, his phone buzzed. He saw an article accusing him of being a corrupt psyker who accepted bribes from evil organizations. The report stated that Jeff had been sent to kill him and died in the process, sparking global mourning. Enraged, Cashin shouted, "Lies?" His fury triggered a transformation. His hands turned into long claws. Bewildered, he stared at his new form, whispering, "What is this?" Meanwhile, a gang of thugs approached the bathroom. One thug peeked inside and trembling, reported back to the group, "There's no body here." The others, frustrated, argued. "You said he wasn't breathing," one accused. Their leader barked, "I'll deal with him myself." Cashin, still grappling with his transformation, clenched his claws. He knew the time for hiding was over. Chapter 3. Cashin turned into another being and ran to hide. Moros found him and asked, "Why are you hiding?" Cashin replied, "I used to be a top-class psyker, and now I've become a villain." He demanded, "Why have I become a villain?" Moros explained, "Due to your rebirth in Gongli's body, the fate of becoming a villain capable of causing an apocalypse has passed on to you." Cashin, frustrated, screamed, "Why?" He then asked Moros, "Why did you bring me back to life?" Moros replied, "Villains are beyond reasoning and driven by powerful desires. Deep down, they have malicious intent. Although you can still control it now, if it grows any stronger, you won't be able to stop it." Cashin exclaimed, "So all you're saying is that I'm now a villain?" Moros nodded. "Live on, because that's what Jeff would want if you were here. Jeff gave you that necklace even though he knew his death was near. Instead of saving himself, he sacrificed his life for you. Don't let that sacrifice be in vain." Cashin, calming down, told Moros, "Stop bossing me around." Moros replied, "Have it your way. If you don't want to return to your human form, so be it." Cashin finally agreed. "Fine, I'll do it." Cashin asked again, "What exactly are you?" Moros replied, "You'll soon understand when you obtain the Sword of Annihilation." The mention of the sword reminded Cashin of Jeff's death. "Is the sword connected to Jeff's death?" he asked. Moros confirmed, "Yes, it is." As they talked, the gang of thugs who had killed Gongli, the boy whose body Cashin now inhabits, returned. They accused Cashin of pretending to be dead and hiding from them on the building's balcony. At the same time, a psyker trainee named Yukon Kim walked down the street. With his good looks, he drew everyone's attention. He answered a call from a senior colleague while people around him admired him. Cashin, still reeling from his transformation, muttered to himself, "I'm not in a good mood today, and I don't usually beat kids, but I'll make an exception for these ones." Moros warned, "Control your power. A villain in human form is much stronger than the average human." One of the thugs approached Cashin and demanded, "What are you muttering about?" Then, he tried to hit Cashin. Cashin threw a punch that sent the thug flying. The other two stared in shock. The second thug, wielding a baseball bat, charged at Cashin. With one swift move, Cashin incapacitated him too. The last thug, terrified but defiant, sneered, "You feel like a god beating these weaklings, don't you?" Cashin replied, "You need a lesson, and my fist will be the teacher."